Hey guys, what's going on? Jake here, and welcome back to the F124 driver career mode with Haas. So today we have one of Haas's home races. We have the Miami Grand Prix. Now I'm not sure if Texas is in there. I think we've left it out this season, but we do also have Vegas. So we have two of the three Haas home races. So yeah, this is the first of the three. So let's try go for a good result. So we have some goals to set first. I still don't. I think I've kind of fully understand what we need to do now. So you do the goals, and when you do the goals, they go up levels, and the higher level they are, the more perks and things like that they can give you. But we have a downforce upgrade come on, which is quite nice, and that means we should now have enough resource points. We have 700 there to make some more upgrades. So let's see if we can get any on in time for Miami. It'd be a miracle if we could. But we have a rear wing upgrade, which would come in time for Miami, so we're going to chuck that on. And then we are also going to see if we can afford anything else, but it doesn't look like we can right now. So we're just going to leave it and head into the race weekend. Hopefully that upgrade comes in. It will be quite nice. But we do have a season break in between this and the next Grand Prix. So far, we've had a scandalous P3 in Bahrain with a red flag. We've had a genuine P5 on pace at Australia. So today, we need to put that AI up. It was on 95. We need to put it higher, and then we'll see if we need to even move it further forward. Because Miami on the last game was a track that was very good for the AI, so if we're doing quite well here, we do probably need to bump it up a little bit. So let's see if our upgrades come through. No, Hulkenberg's cable assembly fails. Brilliant. Cheers for that, Nico. That is very good. And then mine upgrade fails as well. So coming into the Miami Grand Prix, we have nothing. And it's also going to be a wet qualifying. Brilliant. That is just fantastic, isn't it? So my first ever bit of intermediate, inter/wet, any sort of slippery quali or driving on this game is going to be in the career mode in quali. So let's just see how it goes. And considering the only overtaking place is on the massive back straight and I have no straight line speed compared to AI, I really need a good result in quali, or I'm completely screwed. So let's see how it goes. But I'm not sure what we're actually doing here. Are we looking to purchase more upgrades, perchance? No, Nico Hulkenberg's looking at an upgrade, apparently. He's looking to, he's looking to repair that, but I'll just do it for him so he can focus on something else. He earns more R&D than me, so he probably should. But for this race, as I said, need to turn the AI up, and we're going to turn it up to 98 AI. So let's get into the sprint quali. Sorry, it wasn't actually a quali, it's a sprint race this weekend. So let's get into sprint quali and see what we can do on a set of medium tyres. So coming through this middle sector here, that corner was a bit raggedy. We go a little bit wide, exceed track limits, but it cost us more time than anything, to be honest with you. And it's a little bit of a weird line coming through here, but it is a quicker way to go through because you need to more aggressively attack that hairpin than the AI, who are currently 1.6 seconds up on Sargent in sprint quali 1, which is superb. So, and it's a purple middle sector as well, but obviously because the player is so much better than the AI in that middle sector, you should be getting purple sectors. Up to the line we come. We take that hairpin quite nicely. It's not too bad. Up to the line, a 29.5 from Bottas. We're going to set a 28.3. So that is very nice, and that should be enough now to just see us through to the end of the session. So we're not going to do another lap. We're just going to finish off the session and hope we can get ourselves through. And in the end, we end up claiming P6 and being 4 tenths off pole, 6 tenths quicker than Hulkenberg, which is not too bad. I thought it was quite a solid lap, and on mediums especially, not an awful go. So into sprint quali 2, we're going to go try do the 1 lap special again. With only a minute left in the session, we're only just setting a lap on fresh mediums, which means we probably are just trying to do the 1 lap special. But we take that middle sector really, really nice again, and that puts us a total of 9 tenths up on Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, which is absolutely fantastic. Again, another purple middle sector. And here we go. We just need a good final hairpin, and we could have ourselves a very good lap time here. Not only will we be through to sprint quali 3, but, it will just be a bit of a statement, if anything, in our home race. So here we are, up to the line. Let's see what we can do. We're going to end up setting a 128 flat, pretty much, which puts us 2 tenths off Verstappen, and that's how it ended. We ended up being only 2 tenths lower than Verstappen and getting P2 in sprint quali 2 on the medium, so we have good mediums pace apparently. And into the final bit of qualifying, you can already see we're having slides there. We set a 128.0 on mediums in sprint quali 2, but in sprint quali 3, let's see what we can do. We take that okay, but we should have way more grip on these softs, but for some reason we just don't. Maybe this car's built more for the race. 2/10 slower than Sergio Perez after the middle sector, and I don't even think it was purple. That's how poor this lap's been for us, and I know it's been quite a poor lap. But here we are up to the line, into the final hairpin. If we can get a good hairpin, there's a chance we get P9 or 8, but we have a little slide getting caught on the curb, and that's going to really hinder us and lose us a couple, 2-3 tenths, I'd say, and it's going to be a 28 flat on softs, and then we did the same on mediums. So into the sprint race, we need to make up for that. We ended up finishing P10 in sprint quali, obviously, so we're just going to go with a simple strategy, one set of mediums all the way through, 5 red lights for the Miami sprint, and it's lights out, and away we go. And we get a pretty nice start, actually. Some cars around us don't get great starts, but they're more in front of us. The cars around us do actually get nice starts. But we're going to launch it down the inside of Stroll. A bit of debris there, it looked like, coming off another car, but we're able to slip ourselves away from Albon and Lance Stroll, at least temporarily, and we are now setting our sights on cars ahead of us. And into this corner, they are going to be quite slow, so we're going to send up the inside of Piastri and also Perez because of just how slow they are. And we've now got Leclerc in front of us on the soft tyres. We probably shouldn't be looking to battle him, but it's the first lap of a sprint race, so we can do what we want, really. And if Leclerc's going to be slow, we may as well overtake him as we send it down the inside into our strongest part of the track, which means we are able to take a different line and it's okay. So we end up getting away from Leclerc there, and we now have Norris ahead of us, and we're up into P6 from P10. But Leclerc is on the soft, so I will expect him to come back past us soon. But onto lap 4, we've got Leclerc, who we did let back through, fighting George Russell on the medium. So there is a chance here of P5. We were very close to, I think that's Perez or Hamilton up ahead, and we were close to them. But we're really struggling with straight line speed at the minute. And as you can see, we're closing in on Russell and Leclerc, but only slightly, as Perez is closing in on us rapidly, as is Oscar Piastri. I'm going to be 3 wide. They're going to be 2 wide. I've banged off Piastri. We're going to go down the inside of Perez, and we're going to be 3 wide with George Russell. So we take the curb nicely. There's a lot of space there, but we've been turned in on, and we're into the wall, and we have damage. Oh, no. That is a disastrous moment, and that is going to bring out what is going to end up being a red flag, and we're down in P13 with Perez in P14. That is not what we wanted, guys. That is not what we wanted at all. We're going to have to get onto a set of softs on lap 6. We're going to put a set of softs on for 4 more laps in this sprint race, and we're going to have to try and make amends. P13, luckily, it was not a safety car, or else we would have been at the back, having to make a wing change and things like that. But, you know, we do get a bit lucky with the red flag, and it's not a bad start on the softs. So we're going to go round the outside of a few cars, including Yuki Tsunoda, who gained from that incident, and we're going to get ourselves already up into P10. P9 now, as we're now side by side and past Lance Stroll, who is for some reason on hard gunpowder tyres. What a weird decision that is. We're going to just finish that move off on Lance Stroll. We've now got Albon and Ocon just ahead of us, who we could potentially make a move on. Albon, he's going to leave the gap open, so we're going to put it down the inside of Albon up into P8, and we've got Esteban Ocon ahead of us in P7, so there is a chance of P7 here. On to lap 8, it seems as if Hamilton's got away from us, but we have a chance of overtaking Esteban Ocon for P7 in the sprint. 8th is already points, so I'm already happy with points after that disastrous, incident. And then Perez is out of the session. He was also caught up in that incident, so it doesn't really matter anyway, as we now go round the outside of Esteban Ocon. It's going to look like an absolutely fantastic move if we can finish it off. Not quite able to finish it off just yet, but we're going to have the DRS, and we've compromised Ocon's exit, which means that if Ocon defends the inside, which he will, we're going to be able to outbrake him and hopefully sail around the outside, which we do, and that puts us up into P7. However, straight line speed's an issue, and on lap 10, Ocon's tried to come around our outside in that middle sector. We're going to just about be able to squeeze him out, but if anything, I should have let him go ahead and taken the DRS, because now we are in a situation where Ocon and Gasly both have DRS on us, and we haven't been able to get away too much. If anything, it's actually quite a poor middle sector by our standards, and we don't have a lot of ERS, and they've got the DRS. We can't be letting both of them pass. If one of them gets past, that's okay, but both, we can't. But we are going to have a chance to send it down the inside of Ocon to try and keep P7. We go for it. Ocon has to take evasive action. But we're not going to be able to get the traction, and we're not going to be able to get the move done. And then we're going to have to settle for a point in the sprint. But after that awful incident, which was partially my fault for sending it, we're going to take P8 and we're going to take a point in the sprint, which I'm not too disappointed with. But overall, Hulkenberg ended up getting 14th, which isn't too awful, but could be better. And after the sprint, we ended up actually gaining a lot of stats considering the fact we were in an incident. But I guess if you're looking at it from my point of view, it wasn't really my fault. Maybe I could have gone a bit more to the left, but I just thought one of them would back out. Maybe Russell would have been squeezed out, but yeah, it is what it is. But we now have qualifying, and the weather has changed. Wet weather for Q3 only. So let's see what we can do, that we can get ourselves at least into Q3 here with some good pace. And then in Q3, if it's wet, we'll just settle for P10 and not going to be too fussed about it. But coming through the middle sector here, we managed to make it purple once again, finally setting a good lap on a set of soft tyres in a session, which is quite nice. And here we are, up towards the final sector. I mean, we're going to try get through with just one lap in Q1 because it is a sprint weekend and we've used loads of extra sets, so one lap would hopefully be enough. Here we are, nicely done on that final hairpin. Little bit of a step on the car, but it's not too bad. We're able to correct it. Up to the line, it's only a 1:29, which is way worse than what we were setting earlier on in the session, and we've only gained a slight amount of time in this first and most of the middle sector, but the time's coming to us all now. We are now finally using overtake on this lap as well, and we've saved it all for this back straight, so we've gained 4 tenths through the middle sector, which makes it even more purple than it was before, and now we can use the overtake as well and gain even more time. So the first lap was a 1:29, I'm pretty sure, so we want to be setting decent times. I mean, I think the track times are just slower because the track's colder because it's about to rain and stuff like that, but we should be setting better lap times than we are. 6 tenths up on our lap, using overtake up to the line, out of deploy. It's going to be 6 tenths in the end, which gives us a 1:28.5 and gets us through the session in P10, which isn't too bad. 5 tenths off of Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen, and I'm not sure where our teammate ended up, but I think he ended up getting through, hopefully. But in Q2, it has now started to rain. It's rained earlier than expected, so we need to get this lap time done. We need to get it done now on these set of soft tyres, or else we are going to be out. Hulkenberg did a 1:06.2. We come out the middle sector a second quicker than Nico Hulkenberg, once again going purple. And it is soon going to be time for intermediates, but if we can get this time finished off, we might have to knock Hulkenberg out, but we can get ourselves through to Q3 because after this point, no one else will go out and we will be through. But here we are, we're one of the last drivers to do a lap, so if anything, we should be slower, but in the end, we're going to come up to the line. We're actually doing well considering the conditions. Up to the line, it's going to be a 1:31.6, which means that after a few other drivers do their times, we get through, and we're 8 tenths off of Verstappen, yes, and 3 tenths away from, but we did get safety by 3 tenths. That's what I was going to say. So, we're going to be on intermediates for the first time on this game for Q3 of the Haas career mode. Again, not too concerned on how we do. We're just going to try P10, I'd take it. We're only a 10.5 down though in the first sector, which isn't actually that bad. That's actually a respectable first sector considering this is my first time on inters and I'm normally slow in the first sector anyway. I'm not sure what it is though, but intermediate conditions for me are normally quite good. On last year's F1 game I was pretty good on the intermediate conditions too. If anything I was quicker than I was on dry tyres, so I think maybe on this game as well, because of the lack of DRS when it's wet, that would help us out as well in quali, because DRS is so overpowered for the AI. But we're coming through the middle sector now. Can we make it purple? We are 7 tenths up on Piastri with a purple middle sector. What on earth are we about to cook up here, boys? This could be our best qualifying of the season. I don't actually remember where we qualified in Bahrain, but I know we qualified P10 in Australia. So let's see what we can do here. I don't think it's going to be as high as we end up qualifying here because we get a nice exit out the final hairpin considering the wet conditions. And up to the line we come. We are going to set a 1:36.8, I think it looked like. And that is going to be P3. P3 in Haas's home race on 98 AI, which is increased from the last few races. Where's the excuses now, boys? It's a second off Sergio Perez, and Hulkenberg ends up getting 13th, which is quite nice. But yeah, that's crazy. Perez a second quicker. We're on the front row. So now I know why Perez was so much quicker. He had new components. Brilliant. Well, that's us starting on the front row for a Grand Prix for the first time, and for this Grand Prix, it's going to be fully dry, so it's going to be a simple one-stop medium to hards. We're going to be just copying everyone else. There's no point risking strategies today when we're in such a good grid position in the first place. So, without further ado, let's get in to the Grand Prix. So, Good start off the line. It looks like Russell's going to maybe try look around our outside. We can't make a move on Lewis. Lewis is clear into turn 1. Obviously starts very hard on this game, so no matter what, it's hard to gain positions. But we're able to squeeze out Russell and maintain P2 for now, which isn't a bad effort at all. You've got chaos going on behind us. Alonso and Norris battling. Norris starting on hards for some reason when everyone around him started on mediums. McLaren have made a bit of a tradition of that on this career mode so far, starting themselves on an alternate strategy. Has it really worked out for them? No, not really, but yeah, I mean, I think eventually it could. But here comes George Russell. He has way too much straight line speed for us, so we're just going to let him pass. We can't really do anything until DRS is activated. We're going to see what he can do once we let him through. We've also got Fernando Alonso behind us now, and Verstappen has moved himself up. He didn't do well in the wet qualifying, but he's able to get past the hard runner of Lando Norris, and now he's up into P5, which makes him a serious threat to ourselves and these Mercedes in front of us, and potentially getting Max's third win in a row, which would be boring, but also realistic Max Verstappen. But here we are, we now have DRS on Russell, but it's not going to help us at all, because look at that ridiculous straight line speed from Alonso. He's able to just make this move on our inside, or at least go for it, even though we had DRS. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if you can hear that, by the way. There's like people doing on like quad bikes and stuff. It's annoying, I know. But Alonso gets past us. There's not really much we can do. And now it's Max Verstappen's turn to sail past us with better straight line speed. And this is painful. This is so painful. Like, I'm not even joking. We have one of the best engines on the grid, being a Ferrari-powered car. And Ferrari have the best engine on this game. And we're being sailed past by AI. Wow. Yeah, not ideal. But then Norris also gets past us eventually, but we are now actually managing to stick with the pack rather than getting constantly overtaken. But a poor exit again means that Norris is too far away. I'm not willing to drain all of my ERS, so I've just got to let Carlos Sainz through, which drops us now to P7 in 6 laps. Brilliant. So we were P2 and now we're P7. Brilliant. So that's a position lost per lap on average, and here comes Leclerc. He's only a 10th behind us, and it's going to be 8 and 8 now, isn't it? Yep, 8 and 8 as Leclerc comes sailing past us. Goodbye, Leclerc. He's got too much straight line speed for us, but now we've got Piastri and Gasly as the next 2 cars behind us, so we're going to just try stick with Leclerc for now. Try pull away from those 2. Piastri's actually lost time. I think he ended up with a car issue, which means that the only car behind us now is Pierre Gasly. But if these guys ahead, as they are battling, this could bring Gasly into it and mean I lose even more positions, which is just really frustrating. We have 80% ERS, so I think we need to go for this move, or else we're going to get overtaken by Gasly, and we're going to just sneak around the outside of Leclerc there. And no track limits warnings. We don't play with strict corner cutting because that is boring, but we are able to get a move done on Leclerc, and it wasn't actually given as illegal. I would have given the position back if it was illegal, but apparently it wasn't. But Gasly is now within the DRS range, so let's see what we can do and see if we can make any impact on the cars ahead, or if we're going to get swamped again. We're getting swamped again. Gasly's 6 tenths behind. We've already let Leclerc through. We've just got DRS activated. We're now behind Leclerc, but Gasly's already sailing past us. There's nothing we can do. We're down to 9th. This race is painful. We have a massive gap behind us, so we should be guaranteed P9 in this race, but we can't be letting Gasly get away. And Gasly has now dropped out the DRS of the other cars, so we are going to try go for an undercut, as it's now no longer advantageous to be sat behind Gasly. So here we go. Can we make anything happen with the undercut here? We're going to be boxing, obviously, for hards, and obviously hards are one of the best race cars on this game. Hards can do a full 50% race comfortably, no matter what car you're in. So, pretty much, if you ever need to risk a strategy, or you ever get an early bit of damage, put yourself on a set of hards, lads, and you'll be safe to the end of the race. But yeah, with like half of this race left to go, let's see what we can do now with an undercut on the hard compounder tyre. Let's see if we can get ourselves up into some decent point scoring positions. But with everyone boxing, we're going to make a undercut now. All of these cars were ahead of us, actually, remember. But we have managed to undercut none of those cars, which isn't ideal. But we are now going to be close to them and within their DRS range, which is quite nice. Which also means it will help us undercut the other cars that are currently in the box right now. So, by being in this DRS, by doing a 1 lap undercut, you're getting the DRS of the cars that were there anyway, as Leclerc makes a mistake, and that's going to slow us all up. And I have to slide, which means I don't even get to overtake Leclerc, but Alonso does. And it's really cost us time. But by the time the undercut's been made on other drivers, we are up into P10. Piastri now boxing for what looks like damage, because he wouldn't have lost that much time. Gasly's still behind us here, He actually managed to not lose that much because of that mistake at the final corner from Leclerc. But here we are, we have a battle. Leclerc, Russell, Alonso, myself and Gasly all fighting over P5, it actually looks like. But here comes Alonso on Russell. Alonso goes down the inside of George Russell. We are on lap 18, only 11 laps to go. Let's see what we can do as Russell. We do a different line to Russell to try and get a better exit. And we're going to send it down the inside of George Russell. And we do. We take the apex nicely and we manage to get an even better exit than we probably would have normally. But now can we try push on and try get P6, maybe even P5. Russell's still the man behind us. We've been told to overtake Leclerc. But that's just not going to be possible as we miss out on DRS, which is heartbreaking. Because now it's just me and Russell in no man's land. Leclerc is 1.2 ahead. Gasly's 1.7 behind. Perez is 10 seconds behind us. What can we do? There's literally nothing we can do. But by letting Russell pass, we have been able to pull away from Gasly considerably. And we are also now back in that train of a fight with Alonso and Leclerc for P5. So let's see now, once we're back in this train, what we can do. And as you've just seen, on the last lap of the Grand Prix, Alonso pulled away from us. We got a time penalty, but I was determined to show that I could overtake these guys anyway. My plan was to overtake these guys on the final lap, and that's what we're going to do. Even with that 3-second penalty, it's not going to mean anything. It's going to be P8 in this race, which is a decent result, but it could have been so much more if it wasn't for me getting a stupid time penalty. Without the time penalty, we would have finished P6, which would have been absolutely fantastic and on merit with some half-decent pace other than on the straights. But in the end, it's going to be P8, and it's going to be no more than a solid race result. Probably where we expect to be, if anything, fringe points. So, yeah, in the end, Piastri ended up getting Ocon and Gasly, so if anything, they actually finished like 6 seconds back from us, I think. So it was actually just not great pace for the Alpines, and in the end, that puts us now 5th in the Drivers' Championship. I don't know if we've been overtaken. I think we might have been by Sainz, and Alonso was already ahead of us. And in the Constructors, we have now been overtaken by Aston Martin, and Mercedes are now closing up. So that is not ideal, but to give my overall thoughts on this race weekend, I think the sprint quali pace wasn't great. We obviously bottled that. We then had a little incident in the sprint, but still managed to get points. We finished P8 in the sprint. In quali, we qualified P3. But obviously, the straight line speed on this game is ridiculous, and we just kept falling back and back and back. And in the end, we couldn't really do anything against the AI because he had too much straight line speed. We got a stupid penalty, but we still managed to get P8. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at it as I should always be fighting for P10 and 11. But we're getting P8. And we've got the pace, so let's see what we can do in the future.